Start in 3, 2, 1.
And welcome to Checkpoint. Let's use that. As soon as I started thinking this is like a show, I'm like, oh wait, I'm gonna do this thing that's actually gonna happen, and Christian's gonna fuck up his lines.
But I'll introduce myself after Christian. So, Christian, go ahead.
I'm gonna restart that. You can
Go
keep
ahead.
that if not.
Christian, I'm Dominic B. Chance, bartender.
And we're the Checkpoint Podcast. God,
Whoa.
Welcome to
you don't see
Checkpoint
me, but I'm like,
Welcome to Checkpoint
Give it a
Podcast. Yes. Hi.
I'm Christian.
This B.
We have Brian.
Yes.
we have established our identities.
Yes. And the Fire Skull.
Let's get into it.
Cool. We're just gonna talk about one thing: consoles, games. But actually, we're at this interesting point right now where people are hinting at the next generation. I think it's generation 9 or 10. We're somewhere around that area.
Yeah, around that. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of news coming out about what each console, what the future consoles are going to look like within Sony, Microsoft, who are the ones that are kind of primed for bringing out big, huge machines, as well as Nintendo doing what Nintendo does in its own weird thing. And I found some articles that kind of wanted to present that in a few different ways. I thought it'd be really cool for us to talk about how consoles are changing. I think we had this idea of a console war that everybody is very familiar. Like everyone chooses a team, and everybody is sticking with that team. And consumers are like soldiers or members of their tribe or group. And just kind of through reading this article and a few other things, the article is called "Diverging Paths." It was written by Rob Ray, and he talks about how it seems like Microsoft and Nintendo are not kind of playing by the traditional rules of the console war, where everybody releases their hardware that's better than the current stuff, and everybody has their exclusives on that, and then everybody just talks shit about each other and tries to get their stuff sold.
Tries to one up each other, right?
Yeah.
And tries to make exclusive to their side. Like that was the 2000s, 2010s console wars where Xbox versus PlayStation tried to win titles to their side or tell people that their hardware was better, or that one fucking glorious move from E3, I forget what year, 2012, 2013, where Sony showed that trailer of how they share games just by handing a disc to each other. That was glorious.
I guess before that, I want to ask you guys, what is your experience with game consoles? What are you guys console gamers? Did you say that, or were you? Brian, can you maybe go into that?
My first console I owned was a Nintendo 64. After that, I owned a PlayStation 2. After that, I owned a Nintendo GameCube, and then a Wii. And then when I got into college, I picked up the PlayStation 4, sold that, and got an Xbox 360. Sold that, and got an Xbox X. Sold that, and got another PlayStation 4.
Okay.
So I've been through quite a few consoles. Well, the consoles post Nintendo 64. Unfortunately, I am not old school enough to hit anything before that.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, well, I grew up, I'd say I'm both a console and a PC gamer. I've been PC gaming for, probably 4 or 5 years now, but I've still played Halo through college. I had the handheld Nintendo consoles, so like the Nintendo SP, the Nintendo Game Boy Advance, and then moving on to Xbox 360, and Xbox One, and sporadically playing on friends or PlayStations for games or classes.
Cool. For me, very much a console gamer, and I think that still is my preferred method. But because I met you, a lot of you guys actually, when we played more PC games, and that's kind of been my transition to be both console PC gamer. I started with the original PlayStation, and then the next generation came in. I started with the GameCube, got an Xbox, and then a PlayStation. Then the following generation.
That's weird. PlayStation 2.
Sorry, PlayStation 2.
Okay, I was gonna say you went backwards.
Sorry, numbers matter now. I forget. Then I was a 360 gamer. I got a Wii at some point, and then a PS3 player, and now in this generation, I only have a PS4.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was like a PS4 I bought with a friend, like with like $100 off what it was going on retail. So like at that point I started school and I had to really kind of play with what I could afford, which was not that much. So PC actually became like the more better option because I could at least run some things and play that with people I wanted to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, no, I have a long history of like kind of being one of those people that very much like, oh, I'm a Xbox gamer for like life, and I'll defend that with like my blood and sweat, or becoming kind of like, oh, I just play everything because I managed to get everything.
Yeah, I remember when I started off with the Nintendo 64, I was very much a Nintendo boy, and I railed against any of my childhood friends who had a PlayStation. I was like, no, you get to play Smash, you get to play Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64. What is this, like, PlayStation stuff? Like, you don't have 3 handles on your controller.
It's less than 2.
Yeah,
it's less than 3.
That's less than 3. Like, we have 3 handles. You have 2 handles.
Like that.
I was like, see, your PlayStation here, I could drop it, it's gonna break. If I drop my Nintendo 64, it's not gonna break. Yeah.
Right, and just seeing, I guess in recent years, I feel like people have been kind of striving for PC. That also is just a lot of PC players I feel are very vocal about their support for PC and the benefits. Where I think in the mid 2000s, PC hardware was much more difficult to compete with. It couldn't necessarily compete with consoles for a very long time. I think somewhere between the mid 2000s, they actually switched where people who had enough money can invest on hardware to outperform the current hardware, console hardware that was there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we saw this shift in like what would be considered like hardcore gamers being the same as PC gamers, people that would put down the money to have the PC that could run things with crazy like visuals. So I mean, everyone has like I don't know, it feels like we're looking at consoles trying to adapt to that as well in some ways, because now they can't necessarily win hardware-wise all the time, but they're also competing in different avenues. I mean, I think going through the article and just kind of reference that a bit more, it talks about how in this generation we're seeing, or at least right now, we're seeing like a bit of a divergence with Microsoft and Nintendo compared to like how they used to, like these wars used to happen, where everybody would release their huge game and then compete with their exclusives and hardware, and we all talk trash.
Well, but now are you talking about Microsoft and PlayStation more than Microsoft and Nintendo? Because Nintendo kind of diverged a while ago at this point.
Yeah. If anything, they were forward, like looking with that. I think the GameCube was the last thing to really be like that type of, to really play in those type of roles.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like Nintendo took over the portable market.
Oh yeah, they fucking strangled like Sony.
Yeah. Like Sony is not doing PSP. Sony tried to come out with the Vita. That did not do very well. I mean,
poor Vita.
I heard the Vita was great hardware, just it did not get picked up by a lot of people, and I don't think Microsoft even tried to venture into the portable world, right?
Yeah, no, I think there was always, remember the Zune?
What the hell's a Zune?
It was essentially like a iPod competitor, and people were always
shit.
Yeah, so people were always thinking like, oh, maybe you could play games or something when it was like being announced and hyped up. But it seems like we're seeing that that strategy like Nintendo took earlier on to kind of diversify or go differently is paying off. It hasn't always paid off. The Wii U wasn't great, but it's letting them like approach this like whole, I guess, market, getting people to play your games differently. Mm-hmm. And I think we're kind of going to how Microsoft is doing that too, and Sony is as well. But they're doing it with I guess VR. I'm going to talk about the current announcements of like the new hardware coming out.
Yeah.
So there was an announcement. There was like some news that the PS5. It's weird to say that. is going to come out next 2 years or so, and it's being like boasted as having ray tracing lighting, having solid state hard drive, having 8K gaming or visuals, and a new, better PSVR.
Basically, all the hardware is just getting pimped out.
It's essentially like what we see every generation.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming out with like their newest car, their newest thing, the next version.
Yeah.
And that's very traditional. I mean, PSVR is a bit like it's its own thing, but in terms of
of a new console, right? In terms of a new console, it's just the next version of the PlayStation 4.
Yeah. And that's like I think I'm safe. I feel comfortable with that. Cool. We know Sony has a really good history with exclusives, so whatever Uncharted 7 was going to look like, or Death Stranding 3/4 and 5/5, I'm pretty sure they're going to go down the fucking Kingdom Hearts name structure.
Well, I mean, don't forget, Kingdom Hearts is not only Sony anymore. Like, all of the fantasy stuff has
changes.
Yeah, has gone over to PC and Xbox now, and potentially Nintendo. Crap, holy crap.
But that's a different point, but I'm gonna get to later. But what we're seeing with Microsoft and Nintendo is still radically different. Nintendo's basically decided to become it's more pure Nintendo and just be its own handheld and hardware. And the rumors of its new updated versions of the Switch are coming out. The idea is they'll come out sometime this year. And the one that seems to be for sure an idea is the Switch Portable, where it's just a portable mode. It's the same Switch that you can get. It just wouldn't have Joy-Cons, is a current rumor.
Does not have Joy-Cons? Or you mean doesn't have a
the
stock?
Joy-Cons are attached to the screen.
Oh, okay. So it's just a very big Game Boy Advanced.
Yeah, or I imagine it's going to be a resize as well. But it seems like they're just going more in the Switch area, and then there's a bit of a hardware update or like a bit of a boost version of the Switch, which not too surprising to see that coming.
I'm just saying, like, literally all of this information is super broad and very, very safe when it comes to predictions.
Yeah. I guess I'm more curious about Microsoft because of their whole digital approach and the way they're working with other companies to try and have their games be on those platforms as well. I can say Microsoft this generation got their ass kicked in a lot of ways.
People are calling this the PlayStation generation.
Yeah, it's well deserved. And it seems like their approach to becoming this more digital platform with streaming games and having that be on any hardware that allow it, and having their game, I don't know if it's confirmed or it's very hinted at that there's going to be a Xbox app on your Switch,
which is weird. It just sounds weird. An Xbox app on Switch. That's weird. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, and then the fact that they're also trying to kind of spread Xbox onto PCs and other hardware. So it seems like it's almost like they're dissolving themselves to become part of everything. Mm-hmm. But they still have their hardware and their hardware approaches, and it's very, I don't know. I'm both intrigued to see how it goes out, but really unsure how that's going to be adopted. I was looking at the current who's on Xbox Live and who's on PSN. It's weird because PSN or PlayStation Plus is still a smaller number than Xbox Live.
Is it
Xbox
really?
Live is, yeah, apparently there's still. I guess people are still playing 360. I'm trying to figure out why that's the case.
Is it the Halo community?
Probably not the Halo community. One can only hope. But they seem like they're trying to kind of do something different this upcoming generation, become more of a digital platform. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's kind of already pretty hinted on. We saw the new all-digital Xbox One S come out. Right. And it's showing okay, they're trying to kind of encourage this type of approach. I guess, what are your thoughts about seeing Xbox take this divergent path and not just doing what Sony's doing, where they're not just doing Sony, they're doing a little bit more in becoming a digital platform. because they're still going to come out with their next box or whatever. Sorry, I cut you off. What was it?
No worries. An area I disagree with the author of that article is where he says that Microsoft won't try to compete traditionally with Sony in the console space. I really disagree with that because I see the anchor of PlayStation's current domination is in its IPs, is in its games. And I see that as one of the most console agnostic aspects of the console market. If you have excellent games, people will play your console more than the other console. And I think it wouldn't be wise to underestimate what Microsoft has to offer there and what they might have been preparing.
Yeah, and when it comes to this generation, the current Xbox One X, is I think the base version came out more expensive than the PS4, but was hardware-wise less powerful. There's like the point I'm trying to make with this is they still are interested in coming out as like a hardware player. They came out with the Xbox One X. Yeah, sorry, I hate their naming structure.
Yeah.
Xbox One X1 X.
Oh shit. XOXO's bullshit shit. But it seems like, I would actually agree with what Dom said. I think they're still going to be playing that same game of come out with your biggest hardware piece, and we're also going to put our games on everything else and push Game Pass, which is essentially the Netflix of games, or one of the, I guess, many new Netflix of games that are coming out. Talking about IP, they also have been investing a lot in new studios. We saw what happened with Crackdown 3 and Sea of Thieves, but the fact that they've reached out to other studios and have brought them in is like a very positive sign that they're going to be coming out with those exclusives.
They've been buying up studios like crazy. Yeah.
And that's really, like, to me, that's exciting. The fact that Obsidian can make a game without the fact that they might, like, be shutting, like, the threat of shutting down isn't on them is nice. I feel like we've said it before that they're priming themselves to really, like, come out swinging next generation. The fact that they're also trying to kind of use Switch as a handheld to be a handheld Xbox is interesting. Brian, you said it was weird. Do you want to tell me why?
I just can't get over the feel, dude, of mixing Xbox and Nintendo. I really just can't get over that feel. Like, yeah, if you have Xbox titles, if you can play freaking Halo or Gears of War on the Switch, yeah, that's really cool. It would be really cool. It just feels off, as someone like myself who was a Nintendo, a purist Nintendo fanboy back when I was a kid. I mean, I'm not so much now a purist of anything because I own a Switch, a PS4, and a big ass PC. But as someone who used to be a purist, it feels like you're putting ketchup where you shouldn't, kind of stuff like that. Like, God, I don't know, like putting, ketchup in your ramen. Like, you could do it. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think when you mentioned how the PS Vita was a failure, it's like, to me it comes off as like, oh, someone else already made something we would want to make at some point. Mm-hmm. Why don't we just put our stuff on it? It's still, if it's an app and it's still under the Xbox brand, I don't see why not. They can just make whatever hardware available a portable Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? It was the Shield, right? The NVIDIA Shield?
Yeah, NVIDIA Shield was like the Switch of PCs or something like that.
Yeah, that did not do well. I mean, I don't think Microsoft was backing that up very much, but that was kind of the thing that was supposed to support, the PC. Like you said, the portable version of PC games, and yet that didn't work out very well. I mean, yeah, of course, it didn't translate most PC games very well. Like, the only game I saw people actually playing on it was Borderlands 2. I don't think, I just feel that when these big companies try to jump into new territories, they are at risk of hitting big failures, which is obvious enough.
Yeah, and I think this is what, again, Xbox is kind of doing that in a safe way with going on as many platforms as they can and reaching out to as many people. It seems like they're like, because they fucked up so much with their IPs this year, they've been having to play a different game that was accessible and what is it? I guess not approachable. Oh, a good deal. Like Game Pass is like still a really good bang for your buck type thing. Yeah, I think looking at how they've been trying to do different things in this area, do you feel like Nintendo and like Microsoft and Sony are, with what we currently know, do you think they're doing enough to be different, or do you think that's just the things are going to move forward the way they're going?
I feel, well, before Dom goes, I feel that this is the same thing kind of in regards to what Dom brought up about IPs. Nintendo's IPs are very, very strong. And the fact that Nintendo will never let go of them is what's going to keep Nintendo afloat. Sony's IPs, I feel like they're also kind of losing a grip on those. I mean, what, the Uncharted series, hasn't that ended already? Like, are we going to see a new Uncharted at this point even? Because they concluded. Yeah, right? They're done with it. Yeah, they concluded
pretty much done.
The story. So that's the loss of one IP for Sony. In regards to like, other big blockbuster IPs are exclusive to Sony, we would have Horizon Zero Dawn, maybe. I mean, that's not even a series yet. There's only one game.
Spider-Man is one, but I feel like that could kind of do the thing that that happened to Kingdom Hearts, where it was exclusive at some point and then became like multi-generation.
Last of Us.
The Last of Us is one, and we have Ghost of Tsushima,
and then God of War.
Right. What's oh god, it's a biker and zombie game. Coming out this month. This is really bad.
I should know this too. Something dogs, right? Oh wait. Days
Gone.
Days Gone. Yeah, Days Gone. But yeah, so Sony's gonna definitely have those exclusive IPs, but are they really strong? Compared to like freaking Nintendo's IPs, freaking Mario, Zelda.
No one has anything that compares to Nintendo.
Exactly. So like, will those IPs, will those exclusive IPs really keep Sony afloat? I mean, yeah, like sure you have God of War. For Xbox, you have Halo. God, I mean, fuck's sakes.
Well,
it's on
let's
PC
make
now.
Things clear. There's Sony keeping itself afloat, and then there's Sony dominating the market compared to Microsoft. They're not going to have any trouble keeping themselves afloat anytime soon.
Yeah, we're not going to have a Sega Dreamcast situation happening.
Yeah, no, that's literally impossible. If anyone does their job.
But no, yeah, so in terms of distincting themselves as like a special, or just more exclusive kind of.
I think it's like the visibility and like the general sense of like the reputation of each console and their exclusives. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, very much so. The image behind the brand, but behind the Sony versus Xbox brand because of their IPs.
I think Sony is doing a really good job with bringing in more international games, or mostly Japanese games, to a non-Japanese audience. Persona was not a crazy thing in the past, and now it is huge. But then I can go back on that and say how, oh look, we have Persona in Smash Brothers. Clearly going to go on Nintendo consoles.
We also have Metal Gear Solid. Well, Solid Snake in Smash and Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of their IPs tend to just eventually become third-party games available to all consoles. They're like the introductory point of new ideas to I guess the non-Japanese market, and let that get popular there, and then eventually they branch out to their own thing.
Yeah, in terms of just standing alone, but fuck, I don't know what I was gonna say.
It's okay.
What the fuck was I gonna say?
I think it's the general sense where at least I'm seeing is that this generation, PlayStation kicked Microsoft's ass. That's a look. Money-wise, they're both doing fine. They're not gonna go away anywhere. Nintendo's still doing great. In terms of like, they're gonna be fine whatever they do. I think someone said like Nintendo has the money to do 50 more Wii U's.
Nintendo's cash reserves are fucking bonkers.
Multiple small nations, right?
Your friend is very correct.
Yeah. And so, my idea is like how, like, if you have this machine that's going to print money, what do you do as like the next thing forward to like keep making that but be different and progress in terms of consoles? It seems
Microsoft is slowly snaking its way into not needing to. It's with the Xbox Game Pass, it's eliminating the need to sell individual games, and with allowing the license on things like the Switch, you have these subscription services that give access to everything. And so, as long as they keep out their Play Anywhere and other PC initiatives, they're going to keep edging Sony out of a market it doesn't even have a presence in yet.
Yeah, it's like they're basically. I think sneaky is a good approach, or a good way to describe it, especially with the PC market. The fact they're going and basically making all their games now PC games. It on paper, traditionally, that would be seen as like a negative thing in terms of exclusives. Mm-hmm. But it's just another way to get people to play your games. Like, to them, it's just more money.
So it's interesting now to think about. It's kind of them inching into the Steam/Epic market now.
Kind of, yeah. They're like the Nintendo of Steam and Epic.
Ooh.
Which is really weird to say out loud.
One day we're gonna start seeing.
I'm not so sure how well that holds.
The more I think about it, the less it makes sense, but let's not do that.
I'm just thinking about the fact that, like, there's a chance now. I mean, no, there's not a chance. Fucking Steam tried coming out with their own little mini console, right? No one bought into that.
The Steam, it wasn't really a console. I felt like it was like, it's like a DVR to your TV. Like, it's the thing that puts it on the TV.
Yeah. And it's sold for $1. Well, it's selling for $1 now. Shit. I have one. I don't use it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if anything, I can see them coming out with something like that. A point. It just feels like it's hard to be like. I just don't see why they would want to.
Yeah. Like, they don't need to.
Yeah, if anything, they have their own cushy little corner of the game market. If anything, it's the fact that Apple and Google are trying to get some kind of, like, interaction there that I think is the most interesting thing. Like, because it's funny when we see these two kind of, like, big, like, tech companies trying to come into games, how do you, like, does the, I guess, traditional three companies need to really react, or do they just stay the course?
I mean, for you guys as gamers, just as hardcore gamers, as for you guys, like, how do you feel about seeing these two big, exactly, like Google, Apple, kind of pushing into the original triad, the Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo triad market? Like, how do you feel about, like, squeezing
Amazon too?
Squeezing in three more big companies into the original triad.
So the thing you have to think about when you're talking about that is that triad doesn't actually exist for game development. That's not a good way to divide the revenue.
Right.
Like, just certain mobile game companies alone have a bigger market share than all three of those, whichever one you take. Now, they might not have the IP visibility, they might have the brand loyalty, they might not have the same kind of flair behind them,
right?
But they have the money. And so when you're talking about companies like Apple, Amazon, etc. entering the space, you have to think about, well, okay, they're competing for time and attention on devices already, and this is just another way to do what they've already been doing across every sector.
Specifically with Amazon, they seem to have a very interesting niche in streaming and I guess game streaming market, and that kind of goes into everything because like even now Apex Legend has like Twitch like Prime exclusives that I can play on my PS4 if I have like a Twitch Prime account or Amazon account, and it's like it's about like expanding their market in places they haven't already, which I think Amazon's done a decent job. They keep talking about their own game studios, where I think we've seen a few but not much come out of that. What I'm curious, like with Google and Apple, the huge company, I forgot its name. It's interesting because they already are in this game. They're already playing. They exist mostly within the mobile game area. Because suddenly they are like the big two in that area. If you want to use that terminology and those ideas, it's So if anything, this is just them trying to go. I guess it's them trying to expand that presence in other ways. How's it successful? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Apple is doing a lot of entertainment stuff with their streaming service and their exclusive television series, and that's very interesting. I keep thinking about what happened with Yahoo. They were coming out with their own like original TV services that you can watch on their search engine or something.
What?
Community Season 6 came out on that. And it didn't work out for them, and I think that might have to be more the fact that they were Yahoo and they're like struggling to survive. And I just wonder how if all these incentives from them is gonna come off like that, where like they did it happened, we've moved on, like no one cares as much. And I guess the effort from those companies, I want to know how like that's gonna really if that's. Because it kind of going off what Dom says, because there is no big three, there are just gaming companies. I wonder how they're going to develop their own niches. Because I think maybe we were looking at this in the wrong way. It's more each company developing their niche, and not so much each one fighting each other.
Trying to find trying to find where they fit, right? Trying to find the right audience for them.
Yeah, and it seems like IPs have been the way of grabbing that audience and keeping people to your console because of that. Like that's why I had for the previous two generations every single console, because it was something I wanted to play in each one.
Right. I mean, and in the end, like the PlayStation and the Xbox, like graphically, they both perform very similarly. Like the PlayStation had a bit of a better hardware piece than the Xbox, but they still perform very, very similarly in the end.
And it is a thing where no matter how a game looks, what it plays and the experience is like is still going to be the most important thing out of the whole experience. Like that is the selling point.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at an Xbox or a game that is on both Xbox and PlayStation, they're not like different experiences. They're really, really not.
That touchpad adds so much to the game. No, I'm just messing. Sony touchpad it's fine. I liked it. It had moments like I liked the choice. Was it the DualShock's ability in Infamous Second Son to like make graffiti or something?
Oh yeah, I've actually never played a game that utilizes the touchpad from PlayStation 4 yet.
I don't think it's a touchpad. I think you just literally grab the controller sideways, you shake it, and then you like
that's what you do.
Spray paint on the wall. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I do know the PlayStation 4 controller does have that sensitivity thing.
Well, every one of them does now. All of them have like gyroscope.
Wait, I don't think the Xbox controller does, right? I don't think so.
Maybe
the Switch
not.
does. The Switch does for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't even know what we're talking about there.
I think.
But I feel like do you guys have anything else to say? I think it was just mostly us rambling.
Yeah, pretty.
We didn't really have any fine conclusions. We just had ideas and thoughts.
We're just kind of seeing where the gaming industry is going, and I'd say it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time to see where it's going.
I left this conversation actually more excited to see what what Google and Apple are gonna do.
Yeah, especially with the Stadia.
I just don't want it to be a Yahoo situation.
I mean, Yahoo's dying so hard, dude, and I feel bad because I still use
Yahoo
my Yahoo
Answers is
email.
like it's like a little diamond in the rough.
Oh, I
It's
love
a thing
Yahoo
that keeps it going.
Yeah. I mean, like, I still use my Yahoo email. I know I shouldn't, but I still do. But yeah, dude, I think
we
it's the end
can
of our
call this
time.
an
Yeah,
end.
yeah. I think Dom's
Awesome.
gone, but let's just
Yeah.
wrap it up.
All right. Well, my name is Christian.
This is B-Chan.
Dom is in the ether, and this has been Checkpoint Podcast. I hope you have a good night.
Good night. Good shit.